Hello, and welcome back to Wonderland Asylum. We're back today, issue 122 of the Hachette Partworks release of Titanic, the ship, the legend. So, what's in the magazine for issue 122? Young Irish friends. Nice picture, like an old thatched roof. A district in Western Ireland. Not a great deal of actual article in this in this issue. And there we go. There's one of Titanic's lifeboats, which was taken from the deck of Carpathia. And that brings us on to the instructions. So without further ado, let's have a look and see what's in the box. Okay, so in today's box, we have an LED strip. We have the aft well deck and the actual wood decking itself. And that's it. Now, it's a bit strange because this is our second to last piece of decking that we get for the aft well deck. Only the poop deck to go after this. But we're going to be putting that to the side for now, because it is not the main focus of this issue. The first thing we need is the promenade deck and the bridge deck. So I'll bring them over and I'll be back with you in just a moment. Okay, so here we have the promenade deck and the bridge deck, and they're together. All done. Sadly not. So, again, we fitted the mast in the last stage, so it's now a little more ungainly to work with, especially since you're on a tripod and I need to try and fit the mast through the legs of the tripod. But the first thing we're doing is taking this cable that you can't see. Hang on. I'll adjust you just slightly. So this cable that we worked on last time that has the extension on the end of it, it is going through this front hole here. Now that I can move to show you. It's going through this hole here. And that's all it says, is to thread it through. And then it gives you some really, really in-depth and detailed instructions. It basically circles all the posts on the underside of the promenade deck, like these. And see these holes in the bridge deck. You're lining them all up with the corresponding holes underneath the promenade. Now if I turn that upside down, I can indicate to you kind of what I mean. So these posts here will line up with the corresponding holes here. So obviously the first part is feeding that cable through and making sure it goes all the way in. Now what you're going to have, and I've already had these kind of tessellated together, and these two aren't, this one isn't the bad one, this one fits not too badly. But what you're going to have to do is kind of put it in sideways, because if I move it to the side, you can see there are these wee slots here. Now that's for the boat deck to clip into, but it also means you're going to need to kind of spread this apart to allow the promenade deck to slide underneath. Now it's easy enough to do it on that side, but then on this side, you're going to need to prise everything apart to kind of try and get everything underneath. Now, the other disadvantage to that is, when you start doing that, there is the danger it will slide underneath the decking and start to prise your decking up. Now, you don't want that either. So there we go, I've got that one under. And if I prise the deck apart, that's what you're having to do, is go back all the way. And the other thing you might find is that these metal brackets start to pop out as well. But once you've got all the way along, you can see what I mean by the metal brackets start to pop out, so it's worth having super glue to hand to glue them back in. And then as we come right to the very back that you can't see, there is a final bit there. Now that, as you can see, that's that all fitted in as it goes. And now all we're doing is going underneath, and in all there are little holes, so I can, yeah, if I turn it, oh, I hear something rattling about, which doesn't sound good. No, we're all good. It must just have been the, no, I did hear that, and I believe that's one of these metal joists, which has just fallen out. Yep, it is indeed. You can see there, the metal joist has come out from in between these parts while I was trying to feed that in. So give me 2 seconds. I'm going to pause this. Sorry, this is going to be a lot of me fiddling about, because I think it's important for you to see exactly what we're having to do. Now, I don't need to go looking for it because I can see where it landed. Here is said metal joist. So I'm just going to glue it back in. But yeah, that's the problem that other people have reported, is that when you're trying to fit this all together, these parts are pinging out. So I'll slot that back in, if it'll go, which it doesn't want to. There we go, that's it back in now. So hopefully that'll hold the side together the way it did previously. It's not. So I'm just going to dab a little bit of glue in that side, just because that metal bracket is no longer holding it. And now it is. I have had a window come off. I've just noticed over here a small window. So let me look and see where that came from. Ah, I see it. It's on the other side. See it just there? Where are we? Just there. You can see there is a window hole now with no window. So I'm glad I noticed that before I fitted the boat deck on top, otherwise you're never getting it. You're never finding it. If you find the window, I was lucky I spotted it on the edge of my cutting mat there. But not only are you never getting that window back in, if you do find it, but what's more likely to happen in my case is I would find it. I would then see the space and it would drive me up the wall, knowing that there was not a damn thing I can do about it. Because I'll tell you, once I get these decks fitted, I am 100% never pulling them back apart again. Now, as I said, that one wasn't too bad, but I have been advised the boat deck is a lot less fun and a lot less friendly. Nope, I don't like how that's sitting. 2 seconds. There we go. That's better. Fantastic. So yep, that's that window back in. So now what we're doing, and I've got it around this way, so I'll just show you from here, is I'm looking for where the screw holes are, because there are a few of them, but you can see just there. No, you can't. So there and there we have 2 screw holes. So that's where the AP screws are going to go. So what I'll do is I'll line them up, get the AP screws out, and I'll just start putting them in, because this is the easy one. This deck's easy. The boat deck, not just as easy. Again, I'm going on other people's experience right enough, because there were some people that said this one wasn't too easy either, but I didn't find it too bad. It's just annoying having to get through those flexi bits. Hang on. I'm just saying about how it's not too difficult. There we go. So that is the first screw in. Now what I'm going to do is, rather than do them all in a oneer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one in each bank of two to start with, just so the whole thing is secured, because there are 12 screw holes in total according to the picture there. Now this is quite a monumental moment, really. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is do the ones you can see. There's no point in me doing ones that get further back because they're over here, and I can't move it any further forward because of where the cranes and that mast are. And you can see I'm having to maintain some sort of pressure from underneath to keep the screw actually biting. And you can see the last 4 are there, 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 and there. Now I'm not going to be able to really show you them with any degree of accuracy, just because of where the mast is, and as I say, the cranes. So I'll be able to get them in without a problem, but you're not going to be able to see what I'm doing. And again, you have my sincerest apologies for that. So I said I wasn't going to do many jump cuts, but I think you can put screws in yourselves. The only bit you might need assistance with is, as I say, lining everything up and where everything goes. But now that I've got those screws in, the other ones are going in a lot more easily without me having to put as much upwards pressure. Because what you're not wanting to do is try and use the screws to draw the deck in. Because if you do that, you do run the risk of stripping the screw holes out. And you definitely don't want to do that. Right, so I'm going to pause it now and I'll get the rest of these screws in and I'll come back to you in just a moment. Okay. Okay, so you're just going to have to trust me that that's that done, and it went really easily, because I forgot to hit play before I moved the decks away and brought the boat deck over, because this is going to suck. Because not only do you have all these details and davits and funnels, but you need to turn it almost upside down to fit the foamy pads that we had previously. Now, if I was just fitting them, it wouldn't be as bad. But I'm trying to fit them so you guys can see them. So we'll do it like this, and hopefully nothing gets broken. Okay, so going from stern to forward. Now again, these are the funnel ones, so they're dealt with slightly differently. Now we have this one here, and it's getting fixed there. Now to me, that's going to be in the road of the grand staircase. So I'm going to move it slightly from where they suggest, so that I know it's 100% not going to be in the way of the grand staircase, because you don't want it. Because it says make sure you're clear of the walls, and yeah, that's cool, because the deck housings will go around the outside of these raised lips, which is good, but you also don't want to see the cables through the grand staircase. Now, this one here is supposed to go on the outside of this, and this one is getting fixed. It's too long. That's the problem, is this cable's too long. So to fix it so it's not going to interfere with any of the screw points, you're going to have to do it like that. I'll move this along so you can see a wee bit. See what I mean? That cable's so long that to avoid it sticking out near any of the deck housings or near any of the screw points, you're having to more or less pull it till it's almost tight. Along here, secure it with one of the foamy pads so it's not in the road of that screw hole there, and then do the same on the other side with another foamy pad so it's not in the road of that screw point there, because that one there's my concern. You definitely don't want to be trying to screw anything together with a cable in the road. Now these ones again, these I don't know what we're doing with these because it doesn't actually tell you. These are the funnel cables, so they're not getting attached. This one here, again I'm going to move the deck along so you can see to a degree. Better than I can see anyway. I can't see the instructions because the picture it's showing you are absolutely bloody tiny. So you're having to move this, it's telling you to move it down round here. Now I think that's going to cause a problem, but hey ho, we will see. Let me have a look. Because in my opinion, if you do it, I'm going to do it down like that. No, I'm not. Because if you put it down that side of that pin, that's what it's telling you to do, is to put it on that side of the pin and tape it here. I'm not going to do that because although doing it like that means it's in the road of that LED, it's the only way I can see to have it so that it's not in the road of anything else. And even then, what a stupid design. Right, I'm going to put that one there first. See how that holds it. That might in fact do it. Because it's telling you to put another... I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And that's the front funnel. And it's telling you to put one there, but it's... I think it's secure enough that it's not going to bother me. Right, okay. Move that out the road of that. Because that's the one that I think is going to give me trouble, is because it's coming very close to that, but it's telling you to route it around the bottom of that. But if you do it that way, it's coming even closer to that screw point. But I think if I'm going to have a problem, that's the one that's going to give me grief. But now we are ready to try and fit the boat deck to everything else. Okay, so setting the boat deck on its side, breaking all the wee davits off nicely. So we've got the funnel wires. Now for some reason some of these are a lot longer than the others, don't know why. Again, I apologise if you can hear terrible music, that's my neighbour. So we're getting the bridge and promenade deck over and trying to line it up with the boat deck. Now the easy thing is we don't need to bother with the mast or anything, but what we do need to do is this cable that we disconnected previously needs to plug back into J3 like it was before. So I've just done that. You won't be able to see it, but you can see, you remember where I unplugged it from. I've just plugged it back into the exact same hole. And now what we're doing is taking the funnel cables and feeding them down so they come out the bottom of the bridge deck, if that makes sense, because they go through the prom deck and the bridge deck and come out the other side, because that's where they'll be connected to the PCB eventually. So the middle funnel board wire goes through there. Now that is your next biggest challenge, is making sure that you've got it at the right angle so it goes through both decks, not just one, because if it goes through just one, doesn't come out the other side, it's not going to work, because you're not going to be able to plug it in. And these are for the smoke generators in the funnels. Again, it's not a function I'm going to use all that often. I still want it to work. It's like Bismarck. Everything on my Bismarck model works perfectly when I choose to display it, which isn't very often. Now, that's everything all lined up. All the cables are all nicely pulled through to the other side. And now it's 13 AP screws that we're putting on. Now this is, I don't think my screwdriver is going to work for this because it needs a very long thin head. I think I might have to find an alternative screwdriver. I'll try, but I think just because of the way it is. Right, okay, so let's see how this goes together. Now, the most difficult bit is getting, or sorry, I think the most difficult bit is going to be getting these wires to go back through. Because particularly that wire at the very end, it's a thick wire and it's going to cause line-up problems. But there we go. That is everything starting to line up. Now again, just need to make sure everything does line up. Just pulling these wires through. So again, what you want to make sure is that when you start screwing bits in, now I was very particular about how I fitted my posts at the back of the promenade deck. Now you cannot see a single thing I'm doing here, but what I'm basically doing is there's one of the posts at the back of the promenade deck. I can't really show you at this point in time, but that is not quite in line anymore. It's moved at some point, and obviously it's one of the back ones. So I'm now having to reach in with the tweezers and just manipulate it a little bit to encourage it to go into its hole. There we go. That's it. That's them all in. You heard that pleasing snap. I'll show you what I was trying to do. These pillars at the back of the promenade deck, they all need to fit into their holes. And once they do, you'll get that lovely snapping noise. And that's, you know, they're in. Fantastic. So now I just need to move all the way forward. And remember I mentioned those kind of pinholes that are all the way along the ship? Yep, you need to make sure they all snap together too. Because if they don't, there's an alignment problem somewhere. Right. Okay. So that all appears to have gone together nicely. But not at the front. At the front there seems to be a bit of misalignment with the pegs and the pillars. Now I don't see how that can be, because the deck doesn't change length or shape any way along. There's no way I could have misaligned anything. Give me a moment. I'm going to have a look and a wee play and see what I can do without having to worry about what you can see and what you can't. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, so what I've done, I don't know if I would recommend this, but I don't see any other way to do it. I'll show you exactly what I've done. I'm now getting the rest of the screws ready. I got one of the screws out. There'll be 2 spares in this one. And what I did was basically, I'll show you exactly what I did. Because the problem I was having was the front side wasn't lining up. The back side was lining up fine, it was all clipped in. But the front side was a good couple of millimeters out, and I had no idea why. So what I ended up doing was, if I take, because that's the cover off one of the top bolts has come off, and God knows what's fallen off underneath that is now never ever going to be fixed, because I'm never taking this to bits again, is I sat with it on my lap like this. If I adjust the camera so you can see, sorry, excuse my face, and I then lined up the two, lined up the 2 top screw holes, which if I now turn this round, you can see the 2 front screw holes are here and here. I lined them up and put one of the screws in so that there was nowhere for anything to go. So what I'm now going to do is batter screws through all the rest of the screw holes and pull the deck together so it has absolutely no option. Now I'm not going to stay on camera, and if you wondered what that noise was, it was one of the wee metal brackets that holds the sections of the boat deck together. That was what was falling out. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to batter all these screws into all these holes, and then I'll show you where the holes are once I'm done. But again, you won't be able to see much of what I'm doing because of the angle I'm going to have to do it at, because of all the detail in the boat deck. But I will be back in just a moment, rest assured. Okay, so that wasn't too challenging. So got all the screws in, and that is the 3 decks now fitted together. It looks fantastic. I mean, yeah, there's bits of it that don't fit particularly well unless you mess about with them a lot. You need to flex a lot of bits in, and eventually went together. That's all I'm going to say. It wasn't great fun. In fact, I would like to meet the gentleman who designed this particular section, just so I could shake him warmly by the throat. The hand. But yeah, that's it wasn't overly enjoyable, let's put it that way. But that's us done. The boat deck, the prom deck and the bridge deck are all fitted together. They all fit together nicely, there's no gaps, it all looks pretty good. So we can put that to the side, because we're now working on the bits we actually got with this issue, which is the aft well deck. So what we can do, as always, is get some Gorilla Wood glue and give this deck a good old-fashioned slathering, because I've mentioned before, you don't want your decking coming up. Now you don't want too much either, then it makes it wet and gloopy and misshapen, but you want it wet enough. Don't worry about getting it in the holes, because you can always poke them back out later. But you want enough that the deck is going to stick down without peeling back up. And particularly when you've got a large area like this, that is always the danger, that your deck's going to peel up and what you're going to be left with is going to look absolutely horrendous. There's bits of the boat deck I wish, because I used PVA glue to begin with, there's bits of the boat deck I wish I'd used the the wood glue for the Gorilla Glue that I got later on, just because they did start to peel and I had to go back and try and fix them, and the only way I could find to fix them was to stick my glue applicator underneath and use super glue to ping them back down, and that's not ideal. So yeah, lesson learned, use the right glue to start with. Other lesson learned, have enough of it in your tub. That's the stuff I use. I say Gorilla wood glue. That should be more than enough. I don't like to be wasteful because it's, well, for no other reason than it's not cheap. Again, just a couple of bits that got in my fingers can get smooshed in as well. There we go. So aye, that wasn't a great amount of fun putting those 3 decks together. I understand why it was done the way it was done. I just wish it had been executed a bit better. Part of the problem, I think, and I know a few folk have found the same, is I've found that my bridge deck was slightly curved. There's a slight bow in it. Now, when you plug it into the ports on the cross beams, they plug in fine and it goes away. I don't know if it's done to maintain tension, but what I found was I lined the back of the boat deck up first, because that was the bit with the 4 pillars, or actually I think there's 6 of them, with the 6 pillars at the back, because I wanted to make sure they lined up and I wasn't left then with everything else all stuck together and those 4 pins not fitting. So I lined that up first, and then I found that the front was out by a good few millimeters, and I think it was because of that curve. So what I had to do was, as I said, put the decks on my knee and bent it until I could line up the front 2 screw holes and then batter the screw in so it couldn't go anywhere. Now again, that's how I did it. If you don't want to do that, I understand. But there's so many wee bits that just need a wee bit of tweaking to line up properly, and it is a little on the frustrating side, but you know, it is what it is, and that's just the way this particular model seems to be. But it does look fantastic, and the minute I was done with it, I stopped moaning about whoever designed it and looked at it and went, that looks so cool. But just to say, I think it was the wrong issue to start back on. Now, there are people who've commented that this issue is the most difficult of any part work they've ever done. I don't know about that. It's certainly up there. It's up there with joining the top to the bottom of the Millennium Falcon, and that was a challenge. Now, I didn't find it as bad as some people did, but yeah, by the same token, it wasn't easy, and it wasn't a lot of fun either. But you know, with it being done, you breathe a sigh of relief, you look at it and go, it looks awesome. Okay, now I'm going to do what I always do, which is just peel the full thing off and worry about lining it up once it's on there, because that's the other good thing the wood glue does, is gives you a wee bit more, couple of seconds, just to line everything up before pressing it down. There we go. There we are. And that's looking just like that. And with that, and with all the decks all beautifully joined together, we are almost done for this issue. The only other thing we need to do is to turn this upside down. Now, I don't know why there's a bit of deck over that indent, but there is. Okay. But this piece goes in there. Will it snap in easily, or is it going to fight me? 2 seconds. Because you don't want to put too much pressure on the board. Because if I did all that and then snapped this last PCB, I'd probably be quite upset. So again, just use the tweezers. I'll try it the other way, see if that works any better. And again, it's got that little indent in the end, so it will only go in the right way. And it basically tells you where the board's to go. It lines it up for you even. There we go, that's one of them. Come on. Just need to move this other clip out of the way. There we go. Now that was harder than the rest of them have been. But there we go. That's that in there. And obviously that light will shine into the hull, as will these ones. But yeah. But with that, and with all those decks joined together, that brings issue 122 to a close. I'm quite glad about that. So that's us for issue 122. What's coming in issue 123? Another cross beam with the little plates. I'm assuming it's to go under the aftwhale deck, and the brackets and screws for that. Now, that concludes issue 122. I'm quite glad about that. Not for nothing did people say that's the most difficult issue they've ever experienced. I can understand that. Titanic hasn't been that difficult until this point. This was a massive, massive spike compared to everything else you've done. But this is what you're left with. And as I said, the minute I put the screwdriver down, went, and then looked at it and went, it looks phenomenal. So yeah, it does. It looks absolutely amazing. It's just awesome. And of course, we did do the second last piece of deck, which is the aftwhale deck. But yeah, it does look fantastic. I'm chuffed to bits with it. You know, it's what it is. It's a part work, and sometimes bits are difficult. But yeah, thanks as always for watching, guys. Any feedback, comments, criticisms, concerns, do drop them below. Do leave me a like, and consider following to see the rest of Titanic, the rest of the U-96 U-boat, and if any more of the 1966 Batmobile ever decides to appear, that too. But yeah, thanks as always for watching, guys, and you know the drill by now. Peace out, everyone.